The Constant. Part 1. Everyone has that one thing they spend their whole life searching for. They don't know that they're looking for it, but deep down, they're looking for a way to fill that hole in their soul. We're a broken people, searching for meaning in this crazy world. It is that one thing that keeps us sane. It is our constant. It could be a person, place, or even a career. I had the perfect life. I was the captain of the football team, had good grades, was popular, and had the most beautiful girl as my girlfriend. I was all set for life. Everyone knew that I was going to study business at college, take over my dad's business, and get married to my high school sweetheart, Stephanie. If anyone had asked me, I would have said that my life could not have been better. I had everything that I needed, and I did not need to complain. Little did I know that my perfect little house of cards was going to come crashing down. It started the day when I had the last football game of my high school career. We had won all thanks to me, so I was on cloud 9. Since my friend Matt's parents were out of town, we decided to throw a party to celebrate our victory. I was also excited because it was going to be Steph and I's first time being intimate. I prepared to go there. I pulled out all the stops. I shaved, showered, and wore my new white shirt that I was sure was going to drive her mad. At about 9 p.m., I got in my car and drove over to Matt's house, on the other side of town. When I arrived there, the party was in full swing. There were teenagers strewn out all over the lawn. Some of them had beers in their hand, and others were conversing with their friends. I walked in and I saw more people in the house. I walked through the dancing bodies and looked for my girl. My progress was, however, hindered by people patting me on the back to congratulate me. I don't want to lie, it got tiring being a popular guy at times. Everyone was always trying to get on my good side. Everyone except Ryan, my arch nemesis. Ryan and I had been best friends since we were 3 years old, but we had drifted apart in high school. He had joined his crew of biker friends. He was a bad boy of the school. He was also my rival in everything, be it academics or sports. He always made sure that he was a hurdle in my life. If I was having a party at my house, he would have one in the same night. He was my mortal enemy and I hated him with a passion. He was the one person that did not suck up to me, and I was the one person that was not afraid of him. I gave up my pursuit of Steph after I sent her a couple of messages. I figured she was busy with something and could not get to her phone. So I decided to find my friends and have some beers with them while I waited for her to respond to my text messages. I found Matt, Keegan, and Jamie drinking some beer, surrounded by a couple of girls. Matt grinned when he saw me come over. "Hey, my dudes," I said, as we gave each other fist bumps. We stood there, chatting for a bit, sipping our beers. That is when I caught his eye, right across the room. I had felt his glare burning through my skin, but I had chosen not to look at him. However, the alcohol in my system decided that there was no way I was not going to confront his gaze. I was not afraid of him, and I never would be. So then, our gazes locked, our eyes burned with hatred. His dark brow furrowed over his cerulean eyes. I set my jaw and drank from my beer. I was surprised to find him here tonight. Everyone knew that this party was to celebrate the football team's win. Even though he was part of the team, he got along with none of us, and was famous for missing our parties. I wonder what had brought the Dark Prince out of his cave. He probably wanted to wreak havoc just for the fun of it. He was such a sociopath. I looked away from him, and made my way up the stairs. I had been drinking for a while and really needed the bathroom. I was a bit tipsy, and Matt's house was big, so it was pretty confusing for me. I opened a few doors, but I could not find the one that was for the bathroom. I had just about given up when I opened the second last door in the hallway. I had expected it to be the bathroom, but I was not prepared for what I saw next. It was a bedroom, where a guy and a girl were hooking up. "Oh, sorry," I blurted out and made to close the door. I stopped in my tracks when they turned around to look at me. It was Stephanie with some other guy. Now, I do not know what the emotion I felt was. Heartbreak is different for everyone. Some people shatter into pieces, and some of them turn into vengeful maniacs. All I felt was me losing my breath and knowing that somehow this had been coming. Nothing hurts as much as knowing that you could have left a road before the truck came to crush you. It was gut-wrenching. I closed the door and I heard someone gasp behind me. I turned around and saw Ryan looking behind me with shock-filled eyes. I had not been expecting him, of all people, to witness one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. I walked away and flew down the stairs. I was determined to leave the party at that same moment. I heard her calling behind me, but I kept on going. I ran down the stairs and she still called after me. Whoever was responsible shut off the music and everyone stopped what they were doing so they could watch the scene unfolding between me and my ex-girlfriend. "Luke, wait, I can explain," she shouted after me. I turned around and walked back to her. If she really wanted to explain, then who was I to stop her? She would deal with my wrath today. I cannot believe what I had been loyal to her since we had met. I'd done everything to make her happy, but it was never enough. Now I was questioning what we had been fighting for, all those years. I thought we would grow old together. She was my best friend after all. I guess that was the last thing on my mind. What more do you have to say, Steph? I crossed my arms across my chest. I really did not want to hurt you, she said as tears welled down her big brown eyes. Her makeup was running down her face and she was shaking. At this point, everyone had stopped to look at us and listen to what we were saying. Wow, I cannot believe that you would say that. You were sucking some other guy's face a few seconds ago, and now you want to tell me how sorry you are? I scoffed. She sniffled a bit, then managed to quiver out, but I love you. Oh, cry me a river, I said, and everyone gasped. I left her standing there and I left through the front door. I was going to have a long drive, then I would go home and sleep. Tomorrow would be a better day. I would wake up refreshed and I would know exactly what I wanted to do going forward. As I am leaving, someone taps me on the shoulder. Come with me, Ryan said. Now this was puzzling. Why was my enemy asking me to come with him? Did it have anything to do with what had just happened? Why? I asked. Just come with me, please, he said. So I have no idea why I listened to him, but I went with him. We got on this black motorbike and we drove away. The wind in my body felt like the most amazing thing ever. I had been numb for a while, but I was starting to thaw. I have no idea why I went with him, but I guess I was in a state of shock and I did not think things through. If he took me to go murder me, then it was going to be my own fault. Soon he stopped the bike at the compound where people dumped old cars, antiques, and things that were too big to put in the bin. What are we doing here? I asked as I got off the bike. You'll see. Follow me, he said curtly. So I did just that. We walked until we got to an old yellow car. He opened the boot and took out an old baseball bat. Great. He was about to plunger me to death at any moment. I hoped that I was at least going to go to heaven. Here, take this, he said, handing it to me, then taking another one for himself. So then I followed him as he walked through the many cars and antiques. Finally, we reached a clearing that was filled with plates, cups, etc. that were made of porcelain and china. He walked over to them and then started smashing them. I nearly jumped out of my skin as I got a fright. I could not believe what I was seeing. The only sound filling the air was the sound of him grunting and the cutlery shattering into a million pieces. It was almost beautiful to watch, the way his muscles flexed, as he brought down a bat and decimated a cup into a million pieces. He was like Thor with his hammer, a god. After a while, he stopped smashing the things and stood there, breathing heavy. His white shirt was stained by sweat, and it ran down his face as well. He looked like Atlas carrying the whole world on his shoulder. The most amazing thing was the look on his eyes. The angst that was previously there was gone, replaced by a calm look. It was as if he had beat all the anger and frustration out of himself. He smirked when he saw me watching him. Much cheaper than therapy. Come on, have a go, he said, gesturing to a pile of plates that he had not touched. I took a step closer to the plates and saw that they were full of mold and most of them were wet. I raised my bat in the air and it came crashing down. The impact of my bat colliding with the plates jolted me. I brought it down again and again. With each broken plate, my anger lessened. It felt good to have something to take my anger on, even if it was just for a while. I turned those plates into tiny little pieces and soon I could not lift my hands anymore. I collapsed on a patch of soft grass. I felt Ryan approaching me and sitting down next to me. For a while, we sat in silence, me gazing at the stars and him gazing at who knows what. So, what happened back there? He said. You saw for yourself. Why are you asking me? I said in a cold voice. I heard him sigh before he continued. We are not best friends, but I think that what Steph did to you was not cool, he said. Thanks, I said. We sat there in silence for a while longer, until we got up and decided to head home. I texted Matt to tell him that I was going to fetch my car early in the morning. He said that it was okay for me to do so. So then, Ryan drove me home on his motorbike. That was the only time I was glad that he and I were neighbors. When we got home, the lights were already off. I quickly got off his bike and thanked him for the ride, then went into the house. I made my way upstairs where I passed each door until I found the right one. I opened the door and there was a sleeping form on the bed. I walked in and sat down on the chair beside the bed. Anne was sleeping peacefully. Her dark hair sprawled out across the pillow. And it had been for a very long time. Anne was my older sister. She had been sick with a rare genetic disorder for most of her life. 2 years ago, her situation worsened and she was confined to a bed. Some days were good. She would wake up and talk to us. Although her voice was frail, but some days she could barely sit up. Her skin was white like paper and her veins blue like ink. I could see that it was not a good day for her today. "Hey, Gummy Bear," I said to her, even though she could not respond. I always made sure that I spoke to her every night before I went to bed. "It has been a long day. First of all, the good news. We won our last match today. And guess who was the star player? I wish you had been there to cheer me on, but you were there in spirit. Then I went to a party at Matt's house, and that did not turn out well. Stephanie and I broke up," I said. Suddenly, she squeezed my hand, indicating that she was still awake. She was the only person I told my secrets, the only person I trusted with all my worries. I knew that she would never betray me. I knew that she would have my back. Then I cut myself off before I could say anything about my little trip with Ryan. I do not know why I kept this away from her, but for some reason, I did not want her to find out about my night with him. Maybe because I still felt as if that had not been real. Why would my arch enemy help me? What did he have to gain? Maybe he was telling everyone what he had seen and how pathetic I was. That just seemed like something that only he could do. He was my enemy after all. I would not put it past him to betray me. "I'm going to sleep now. We'll come and see you tomorrow morning, okay?" I said to her. Then I kissed her forehead. I quietly closed the door behind me and made my way to my room. There I got ready to sleep. I brushed my teeth, took a shower, and wore my pajamas. After that, I went to my bed and collapsed into it. Just as I was about to fall asleep, my phone beeped. It was a message from an unknown number. I opened it and it read, "If you need to get rid of your demons for a while, join me again tomorrow. Ryan." I switched off my phone and went to bed. There was no way that I was going to willingly spend time with him, of all people. He was mad. The next day, I was back at the junkyard with him, getting rid of my demons. I did not plan on going there, but I had some steam to let off. My dad and I had an argument, and it had gotten me upset to the point where I nearly punched a wall. So I had texted Ryan back and took him up on his offer. He did not ask me what was wrong with me. He simply handed me my bat and watched me as I smashed multiple vases. I do not want to lie. It felt good. Everything that had been weighing on me came out. My frustration that I could not do anything to help my sister. My frustration that my girlfriend had cheated on me. My frustration with my dad who treated me like I was never good enough. I let it all rain down in my blows. But the one thing that ruled my thoughts was that I had lost my constant. I thought she would be the one to fill the hole in my soul, but she never fit right. Despite my wishes, I had known deep down that something was not right with us. Our hands never fitted perfectly with one another. My heart did not do cartwheels when I saw her. But I wanted it to be real, despite everything else. I wanted her to be truly mine, because we made sense. She was the girl next door, my counterpart, and my best friend. It had made sense when everyone had told me that I should ask her out a few years ago, even though we were best friends. I had wanted her to be the one so badly. Now my wishes had been decimated into a million pieces, just like I was doing with these antiques. All I had left was emptiness, and the boy helping me through it was the one that I had hated for so many years. At that moment, he was the person I hated the least. At least with him, I never had to pretend, because he saw through my facade, and there was so much more that he would come to see. To be continued. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.